I think one of the most interesting questions anyone's ever asked me is where you're from. For a lot of people, that's really not a very interesting question, because they have a really simple answer. They are probably from places like, I don't know, cool places. But for people like me, I can't answer that question quite as easily. Like usually when somebody asks me, where are you from? I usually have to respond back with, can you be more specific? Because I've actually traveled so much in my life that I can't necessarily say I'm from anywhere. And I think that raises a really interesting point that I technically don't have a home. I don't know how to explain it. It's so difficult. Like I don't have like a physical address I can say, well, my home is 123 Smith Street. I can't say that because I've never lived in one house my whole life. I've lived in 14. I went to 4 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and 3 high schools, which is insane to some people, but to me that's pretty normal. I've definitely lived a pretty weird life. A lot of people at first think that, wow, you must be like this crazy trouble kid that you're constantly, being kicked out. No. My dad's in the military, so we moved quite often. I can honestly say that I'm really proud to say that my dad's in the military. Like that to me is just so cool that my dad's a Marine. To me that's so awesome. I think my dad has the coolest job in the world. When you ask somebody where you're from, what do you technically expect back from them? Are you asking where were you born? Were you asking where did you just come here from? Where have you lived most of your life? Where, like there's a lot of different ways to answer that question. And often they'll tell me, well, where were you born? And I'll tell them, oh, I was born in Texas. But other times people are like, well, where did you move here from? Currently, my answer to that question is Okinawa, Japan. I guess that's where I'm from. That's where my family still lives. I'm in college right now, away from my parents. My parents are weird. They've always told me that home is where you put your pants on. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I've had so many homes that I guess technically I never really had one. And I still don't. And honestly, I'm so jealous of people who can say, oh yeah, I'm from this place and not have to think about it twice. Like who knew that such a silly question can possibly just rattle somebody up? And honestly, I get kind of like torn when somebody asks me that question because for me, for me anyway, I don't know about you, but my home is where my family is, where my parents are, where my sister is. Honestly, I'm so jealous of people who don't have a hard time answering that question. When somebody asks you where you're from, I'm pretty sure your answer is like, oh, Wisconsin, California, Georgia, I don't know, cool places. A place, like a real physical place that you can say, that you can call home, that is your place. For me, I've never had that, and it's sad, but at the same time, I don't know any better. So I kind of don't care, but at the same time, like I wish I did. I wish I knew what it was like to have a home. To me, home isn't necessarily a physical place. Home isn't, 123 Smith Street. You know what I mean? Like it's not a physical place. People start talking about their homes and they literally describing their house. To me, like I get really confused because that's not what home means to me. Like that, it totally like messes me up in the head. I'm like, that's not home. For me, you don't know what you have until you don't have it anymore. And when you don't have a physical place to call home, you realize that home isn't necessarily that physical address anymore. Home is the relationship you have with your family. And honestly, I have a wonderful home. I love my home. I couldn't possibly ask for a better home. I love my parents. I love my sister. I'm in a great place. I love my home. And the crazy thing is that my home is in a new country every 2 years, which is fine with me. I could care less where my home is. Unfortunately, I'm away from home. I'm in college right now, so I technically don't live at home, but home calls me quite often, which is weird to think about, but to me it makes sense. Leave a comment below and tell me what you think. Is your home, a physical address? Is your home your relationship with your parents? If you have something, maybe you have lived a different type of lifestyle too, and you maybe have a different idea of what home is yourself, then let me know in the comments below. Believe me, I would love to hear what you have to say. Alright, I guess that kind of wraps up my little rant that I got going on. I'll catch you guys next time. I'm Anthony Michael, it's Post Meridian, and you just watched AM in the PM.